The evil queen. We have to stop her.
Oh. Hello and welcome to Ruben Uncut. Today's topic, well, I don't actually have a topic today. I'm bored as hell. It's rainy and cloudy and nasty out. It's a holiday that I don't particularly care to celebrate. And I say that as an Irish person. Well, Irish American. I've never been to Ireland. But I'm actually only a few generations removed from people moving here. So I think that's cool as hell. But anyways, couldn't think of a topic for today. Don't get me wrong. Had a lot of things I've been kicking around, things I want to make episodes on. I didn't realize how nasty that one chipped nail is right now. I mean, to be fair, it's really just paint coming off a nail. It's not really that nasty. I got to repaint my nails. That's besides the point. Who cares? I'm a man. My nails are nasty. Ooh, I didn't like that way. I didn't like the way that sounded. I meant to say as a man, I like my painted nails to be a little more. I work with these hands, you know what I'm saying? I actually work more with my brain. Let's move along. It's not important. I'm going to now react to the new trailer for Snow White and the Evil Queen. This is the Daily Wire version of Snow White that is being made to counterculturally compete in the marketplace of ideas with Disney's next Snow White. Because culture war. And I don't want to poison the well too much before going into this, but that is why this movie exists. This movie is not so much an attempt at something with artistic merit as much as it is an attempt to sway the market or basically counter market a product, because that's ultimately what Daily Wire typically does. Now, Daily Wire, when they started their whole we're going to make movies, they tried to sell it off as no political agenda, just movies, and it didn't really take. And then they made Lady Ballers, and Lady Ballers sort of indicated that the whole it's just movies, no politics thing was a lie. Was a lie, because that movie runs entirely on politics and general right-wing virtue signaling, and also was terrible. They couldn't even get any big name canceled actors to star in it. Very disappointing. But let's see this trailer now. It stars Brett Cooper. Now, I saw Brett Cooper's performance in Lady Ballers, and I don't necessarily want to say that performance implies that she has no acting ability. It's possible that what appeared to be her lack of acting ability was her playing a journalist. But I don't have high expectations. I think it's very likely that she can't act. Let's find out, though.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is fairest of them all?
It is you, my queen.
Snow White.
That forest was definitely a set.
Are you ready to discover the price for using magic?
Yet another kingdom falls to your glory. But on this day, one has come of age. Fairer even than you. She is the reason your powers wane.
Who is it?
Snow White.
She is my undoing?
She is also your salvation queen. Take her heart in your hand, and you shall never again weaken or ache.
So I just want to point out the fact that Brett Cooper has said literally nothing so far in this trailer.
Immortality.
The evil queen. We have to stop her.
Oh, and I can see why. So yeah, real quick note here. If you're watching the video version of this, of course, you saw the note that you may have seen the text scroll by that I did, in fact, she talks twice in the trailer, and I missed the first line. And I watched this. The funny thing is I watched the trailer more than once after reacting to it, and I still only caught that she had a line there in the editing process somehow. So my bad. Maybe I was too high. My general point still stands, though. Wow. Okay. All right. So few things immediately spring to mind. First of all, it could look worse. It could look worse. It doesn't look great. I'm talking visually here right now. Most of the special effects seemed okay. This is really more of a teaser. It says first trailer, but doesn't really give us much at all. There's like an implication that the evil queen is gonna do it's more like they're trying to gain magical power, and apparently Snow White's heart is gonna be somehow part of that. I guess these seem like natural extensions of the mythology. After all, the heart was the thing that the huntsman was supposed to bring back to the queen afterwards. That being said, it doesn't look as good as what was that movie called? Mirror Mirror, which was a movie that came back a few years ago. It was another Snow White film. Came out around the same time as Snow White and the Huntsman. Mirror Mirror, though, had the distinctive advantage of, disadvantages and advantages. Its main advantage being that it was directed by the guy who did The Cell, whose name I can't remember right now, but he also directed what is it? The Immortals or Immortal? That movie that was clearly designed to look like 300, but starred Henry Cavill. That movie's actually sick, at least visually. But that movie, the point is that director is really good at visuals, and this seemed very, a couple cool shots. It's very weak. The main things that stood out to me, though, was really more what the trailers not showing me. Now, I understand why it only, like, briefly has one of the dwarves appear, because they're, like, teasing it. I imagine that this depiction of dwarves will not please Peter Dinklage. And I imagine that Daily Wire might even make an article about that. Whether they make an article about that before or after, or if he says anything, who knows? In fact, actually, I hope Peter Dinklage makes no comments, and that they still talk about it. Because that'd just be funnier to me personally. Brett Cooper only has one line in the whole trailer. Most of the trailer where she appears is just close-ups of her face, either looking pretty or in awe of something. But the one line she has in it is yikesy. It's not a good line. Now, whose fault that is, hard to say. They just really want that specific line at that specific part of the trailer. Who knows? Maybe. Could be. Yeah. Just could be that could be the writer's fault. We don't know. Now, based off of her performance in Lady Ballers, though, I do not have high expectations. And the fact that the trailer almost seems to be hiding her talking does not instill confidence in me personally. I also thought it was weird that the queen's face is never shown. They don't show her face at any point in the trailer, which is weird. Because the trailer is arguably almost more about her than Snow White, actually. I'm very curious to see what type of story liberties they take with it. or if they will try to go super close to the source material, maybe with some embellishments. Hard to say from the trailer, to be honest. There were a lot of allusions to like the Queen's motivations that are not typically touched upon in other versions. It would be kind of funny if Daily Wire essentially made a version of this movie that is more about the bad guy. That would be interesting. But, you know, it could happen. I'm definitely going to see the movie at some point. Obviously, I'm going to not watch it legally. I don't think it'll be a problem. I'm going to watch it illegally in Minecraft. I don't think it'll be a problem because it was super easy to find Lady Ballers online for free. Didn't even have to download it. That's how easy it was to find. You know what I had trouble finding online? Sound of Freedom. Sound of Freedom. Had a lot of trouble finding Sound of Freedom online for free. Had to wait for it to come to Amazon before I could finally see it. It's just glorification of a man who seeks glory his whole life, to be fair. Sound of Freedom, I mean. But Sound of Freedom was at least competently made. Like, Sound of Freedom, when I saw that, I was like, oh, it's a real movie. I might have issues with the real life person and how it plays out, but Sound of Freedom is a real fucking movie with like cinematography and sound effects and real actors and budgets. And like the thing about Lady Ballers is that Lady Ballers feels like it's a movie that only had a budget and none of those other features that I mentioned. Will Snow White and the Evil Queen get better actors? Will they hire more professionals? Or will this continue to be a Daily Wire wank fest? Where they're just like, we're new media. Well, what you are is an attempt to use counterculture as a way to sell product, is what you really are, Daily Wire. Because that's ultimately what Daily Wire does. They pose as a media source so that they can paint a negative picture of media, especially Hollywood and things. And let me be clear, I'm not saying there are not things to criticize about Hollywood. There absolutely are. But Daily Wire's goal is to create an audience for themselves, not via the merit of their own product, but the merit of their right-wing narrative that Hollywood itself is selling you a harmful product. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that nothing that's come out of Hollywood is harmful. It absolutely is. But frankly, Daily Wire is doing this cynically to market to you. Oh, you don't like the new woke Snow White? And which, by the way, we don't even know how woke it is. Just because they hired a person who's half Polish and half Hispanic, I believe, to play Snow White. They don't even look that quote unquote brown, because that's what Daily Wire has been talking about, is how brown she is. I don't want to get into the colorism of the situation is real ugly, to be completely honest. But like, my point is, I don't have a problem with her playing Snow White. Snow White has dark hair. She's not like a blonde-eyed Aryan or anything. And it's not like Snow White is, for lack of a better example, like black. Not that there would be anything wrong with that, just, the weirdness of the name. But ultimately, I don't care. Why? Because why should I care what a product I haven't actually evaluated looks like it's going to be? You see, that's the thing, we don't actually know how woke that movie is. But they're going to paint it as being as woke as possible, because now how woke that movie is inversely proportionate to the hyping of their own movie's anti-wokeness. They all made a big deal about Little Mermaid, because Little Mermaid was black. And I'm going to tell you, I saw that movie. And let me tell you, by the technical definitions of woke, it was not very woke. It's just a movie about a mermaid who happens to be black. And there's even they're mermaids. They're mermaids. The original mermaids were manatees, okay? And they're gray as hell. They're definitely not white. But that doesn't even matter. You know why? Because the movie's not woke. It's just Little Mermaid but they cast an actor more politically, with some type of politically correct type of casting, which political correctness is not the same thing as wokeness. Wokeness refers to the concept of being aware of societal systemic oppression. And Little Mermaid doesn't talk about that. Little Mermaid has a tiny, tiny bit in there, like a little bit of a metaphor for racism. But the original cartoon also kind of had that tiny little, barely there metaphor for racism too. Racism. So like, no, it's not very woke. It's a fucking movie that takes place in the Bahamas. I'm sorry, it takes place somewhere in the Caribbean, on islands that produce cane sugar, and it's never discussed why the elite class of the island have British accents and the lower classes have Haitian accents. It's never discussed. It's never really pointed to, except for the fact that the movie, for some reason, does want me to know that their export is cane sugar. It's like the movie is just, ignoring racism, which is not very woke. Not very woke at all. But also, in fairness to the movie, not every movie that stars Black people should need to have to address racism. And it's a movie for kids, and therefore, does it need to address slavery? I don't think it necessarily does. I do think the cane sugar thing is weird, and the setting is a little awkward, but that's because I've got a sardonic, dark, cynical mind. And my brain picks up on stuff like this. But a child who just wants to enjoy seeing a Little Mermaid isn't going to be sitting there thinking about slavery or picking up on any woke messages, because the movie doesn't have any. Everyone in the main cast are super rich and powerful. I'm sorry, not the cast. All the main characters are fucking royalty. No, there's nothing woke about the Little Mermaid. You may be upset that they cast a Black person, but that's not inherently woke. Sorry, I went off on a little tirade there about how unwoke the Little Mermaid movie is, because it is very unwoke. It's not woke at all. It literally just stars Black people, and that's a big problem I have with this whole anti-woke thing that's going on. Is that literally these people are just like, I don't know, guys. It's not a white person. That seems like there's an underhanded message of anti-whiteness. What? No. What? And besides, let's be real. If you look through history at like the trajectory of things, Hispanic people are gonna be white soon. I'm just saying. As someone whose heritage is largely Irish, we didn't get to be white until like the mid 20th century. I think it was after like World War I or something. And then Italians had to like, I don't even know how long it took for the Italians to be white. If you pay attention, I think Latinos would be next. And I think that some white people really hate that. I don't care about it, because race is fucking bullshit. But that's besides the point. Because I'm just, it's a rainy day, I'm a little high, and I just watched this trailer that I didn't really have anything to say about because it's such a nothing trailer. I will say that it at least looks like more of a movie than Lady Ballers. It looks like it's shot digital. The special effects actually didn't look that bad. We'll see how they actually look in the full movie. So I'm trying to get back to the movie now. Instead of making this a weird tangent about racism. But like, their motivation here, see, that's the thing though. Actually, I will tie this back around. See, that's the thing though, is that like the motivation behind this movie is kind of racist. I'm not sure how racist it is, other than the fact that I've just essentially stated that essentially I think the Daily Wire doesn't want Hispanic people to be considered white. I mean, like, come on, guys. Their language, our languages are literally intertwined. It's a romance their language comes from romance languages. They have the same religions. I mean, like, it's really only a matter of time. You're literally holding a tan against people. And not all Hispanic people even look brown. But my point is, the racism of their move is definitely racially motivated, but it's muddled up in the fact that how convenient the racism is to them as an organization, because they get to use, because it doesn't even really matter. It doesn't matter what's going on or why they cast this Latino person as Snow White. It doesn't really matter why it's really happening or what it's for, because the Daily Wire needs it as a cultural like touchstone to essentially create a counterculture narrative to sell product, because that's what they're doing. And this is very much a product. The question is, how well made will it be when it comes out? I don't know. If Lady Ballers is any indicator, it might be hilariously bad. Like, super bad. If it's as bad as Lady Ballers, then this is going to be hilariously, unintentionally hilarious. And Brett Cooper's single line in the trailer, which, to be fair, only one line, does not instill confidence. The fact that the Queen's face is never shown does not instill confidence. Like, are you hiding who the actor is? Is there going to be a reveal at some point to build hype where you're like, by the way, our queen is this bitch over here? Bet you didn't see. Like, what are we doing? Why aren't we seeing the Queen's face? It seems strange. I have no faith in this movie, but I do think it could be funny for me personally, and not like in the way the movie would like to be funny. Well, this has been whatever, honestly. But I want to thank you for tuning in and joining me for this. You get this product for free, so I don't feel bad cutting it so short. But I hope you were at least moderately amused or entertained. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe on YouTube and follow on Spotify or wherever else you get your podcasts. And if you would like to contact the show, you can always email me at rubenuncut@gmail.com. Or do what most people do, which is just, bother me in my YouTube comments. Thank you for tuning in. Have a wonderful whatever, wherever, however, whoever you are.